the state party territory. There can be no incitement without dissemination or publication. And the Learned Defense Counsel's argument that criminal responsibility lies not in President Turk, but instead in Miranda Phoenix, is an affront to the victims of his statements. President Turk would be lucky if the statements had not been published. He did everything in his power to make his incendiary statements disseminated, and the nuclear powers in the region to destroy the Tubans by the nuclear weapons at the push of a button. The ICTR trial chamber in the Prosecutor versus Akayesu defined incitement as a direct and public call for action to a number of individuals by such means as the mass media. Thus, publication is a constituent element of the crime, and because Robert Turk gave the interview to Miranda Phoenix, a famous reporter, knowing that it would be published and disseminated from Tonda, a state party, the conduct in question occurred under this court's jurisdiction. This fits precisely into a clear reading of this text of the statute, and there is no unfairness to the defense in this analysis, because he could and should have anticipated that he was thus acting in the territory of a state party, and that brings him within the ambit of the court's jurisdiction. Finally, if we look at the language that President Turk disseminated through Tonda, we see that it meets all the elements of the crime. The accused declared that there is no long-term option other than the full destruction of Tuba and its population. In these statements, we have a chief executive of a nuclear power directly calling other leaders in the region to aid him in nuclear destruction in whole of a national people. But moreover, the accused made his statements public through the most instantaneous and modern means available.
Counsel, would the other leaders in the region respond to that call, do you think? Is it reasonable to expect the other leaders in the region to respond to that?
Indeed, Your
That
Honor.
they would destroy this state and these people?
Yes, Your Honor. Indeed, we do believe that it is reasonable to believe that the other nuclear powers in the region, when confronted with President Turk, the nuclear power himself, would indeed be persuaded. And we know that there was increasing volatility in the region ever since he made his statements, and thus we can see that there was in fact an effect on those leaders in some way.
Why do you believe that they would respond to his incitement, incendiary statement?
We cannot be precisely sure what their motivations might be, Your Honor. However, because President Turk is a powerful figure in the region, and there has been a strive for self-determination, there may be other leaders in the region who would fear a nuclear attack by President Turk themselves if they did so refuse. So we can't know their motivations thus far. However, we know that there was increasing volatility in the region ever since he did make his statements, so we can assume that there was some effect on the other leaders in the region.
As counsel for the victims, I think it's very crucial for you to be very, very clear on the matter of jurisdiction, because your case for them depends on whether the court has jurisdiction or not.
Yes,
and I'm not very sure that you have come out very clearly on the issue of jurisdiction.
On the issue of territoriality, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. We believe that Article 12.2a states that the conduct in question occurred, and if the conduct in question occurs in a state party, then this court exercises jurisdiction. We look to the definition of incitement as a direct and public call for criminal action to a number of individuals by such means as mass media. A constituent element of direct and public incitement to genocide is that public notion that I mentioned before, that he published the statements through Tonda. He's acting through a state party in order to make his statements disseminated. And because dissemination is a constituent element and a clear component of the crime of incitement, therefore, the act, and the statement itself was direct, therefore, the act has been committed in a state party territory, and he thus falls underneath the ambit of this court's jurisdiction. And I'll address, in my final moments before I turn the podium over to my co-counsel, the issue of the direct nature of his harm.
So this is what you probably would also refer to as territorial by effect, because of the publication of this in a state which is a state party.
No, not the publication in a state that is a state party. The publication from a state that is a state party. Yes, Your Honor. Finally, President Turf used the most modern means of dissemination to make his call direct and public. The learned prosecution and defense have mentioned the horrors of the Holocaust and Rwanda, and it may be analogous. However, we would argue that the existence of nuclear weapons and the internet make his statements even more immediate and more direct than the statements of the Rwanda media trial and of their accused and convicted. This is why the victims have suffered a direct harm. It's the most modern means of dissemination, and he called on nuclear powers to release nuclear weapons for full destruction. We understand that a line must be drawn between political speech and incitement. However, when President Turf called for this full destruction of Tuba and its population, he shifted the dialogue from mere political antagonism to a direct call of incitement against these 34 Tuban victims today. Thank you, Your Honors. At this point, if there are no further questions, I'll turn the podium over to my colleague for our remaining time.
Thank you.
We understand that you are co-presenter.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
You're not responding.
No, Your Honor, I will pick up the argument and address the remaining matters on which the court has requested submissions.
Okay, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. President, Your Honors, may it please the court. My name is Sadie Blanchard, and I